Welcome, everyone. I hope you all had a good break. Just a reminder to kind of set the tone for our time together so you can be fully present. Maybe close your blinds, shut your door, mute your phone, get you some tea. Aromatherapy is always nice, just so that you're telling your brain this is the time for this practice. Today, we're going to be doing mindfulness meditation. And before I forget, I wanted to give everyone a little heads up on something that I have discovered recently. So I came to yoga and mindfulness meditation through chronic pain lens, dealing with lots of issues with chronic pain. And recently, I have found, so if anyone deals with pain on a persistent basis, not just acute, from an injury or an illness or tumor or infection, some kind of chronic situation, which a lot of us do if we're coming to learn about yoga nidra or mindfulness meditation. There's an app called the Curable app, Curable. And it talks about using mindfulness for pain. And it's fascinating. I think I'm actually going to become trained in it because I feel like it is kind of the missing key to everything that I have learned about pain and managing it. So anyway, I just wanted to give y'all, it's called pain reprocessing therapy. And the basic premise is that the pain that we're experiencing when we have chronic or extended or persistent pain is a loop in the brain that similar to like anxiety that gets kicked off, and that we can work with the nervous system and the neural circuitry in the brain to stop the alarm from going off. So it's fascinating. I've been working with it for a couple of weeks now, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, let's see. That's okay, Trish. Just come back in whenever you need to. All right, so today we're going to be working with mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness is a quality of mind or a mental state, and the meditation part is the practice that can help us be more mindful. Mindfulness was popularized in the West by Jon Kabat-Zinn, and he defines it as the awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. And interestingly enough, he really brought that for pain. So one of his first studies was dealing with pain and mindfulness. Meditation is the practice that can help us be more mindful. We don't have to do meditation to be mindful. We can be mindful throughout our day without doing a meditation practice. But the meditation is kind of like the reps that we're putting in at the gym to get our brain synced up for our mindfulness practice throughout our lives. So just like what we do on the yoga mat, physically and mentally for our body and our mind, helps us go out into the world and be more present and less triggered and move more freely. Meditation helps us be more mindful. Let's see, when we practice mindfulness, we are being aware of our current thoughts, feelings, and surroundings, and accepting this awareness with openness and curiosity in a non-judgmental way. So for an example, if we're breathing mindfully, we're paying attention to the breath. We may have an intention for it to be fluid and not restricted and even, but then we don't get attached to the outcome of whatever the breath is. So we don't tell ourselves a big story about how we breathe. And of course, when we meditate, we are learning to concentrate and focus. It's kind of like fine-tuning your instrument or tuning in the radio dial so that you can sharpen your focus and your attention so that you can be more mindful and you're not scattered and all over the place. If you've ever tried to meditate before and felt like you couldn't do it because you couldn't stop your thoughts, you're in the right place, because that's how all of us are. That is the human condition. And this is where the practice begins. It's the ability to catch yourself drifting from thought to thought and bring yourself back to the present moment. That is the practice of meditation. That's the goal. So each time you do that, you're strengthening your mindfulness muscle, and it creates new neural pathways in the brain, which helps us respond differently in stressful situations. So for each practice, each session, we do a little check-in, some breathing exercises, a little bit of movement just to release any tension in the body, because sometimes that can be a distraction, and then move into guided mindfulness practice, meditation practice, and a little bit of background. So let us begin. Of course, the benefits are many, just overall less stress, reactivity, negativity, depression, anxiety, illness, pain, and psychological distress. And of course, that seems like a tall order, but anytime you can be more present and mindful and in this moment, rather than catastrophizing or being anxious or thinking about the future or the past, you are going to feel more emotional regulation. You're going to have better attention and compassion and connection. And all of those help us throughout our lives. Okay, so we're going to check in with 2 words, how you're feeling. So you kind of look at this list. I got this list from Brene Brown, who I love, and they do a 2-word check-in. And I used to do it with I still do it with my yoga classes. Because if we don't know how we are, how can we know if what we're doing is benefiting us, right? And part of this, as connecting together on Zoom is so that we can feel so like we're not alone, right? So if you want to, thank you, Mona, and is it Huyen, for sharing your feelings. So just kind of check in where you are, if you're able to get into the chat. And that way we can all kind of just seeing how other people are helps us feel a little bit more vulnerable and open. For me, let's see. I think that I would have to go with today. I am curious because I'm learning new things, and relaxed, stressed and sad, tired, overwhelmed, and overwhelmed. Okay, so this is really, a good time for you to do this kind of practice when you're feeling that way. So if you're not sure how you're feeling, sometimes it just helps to take a couple of deep breaths, close your eyes, and just pay attention to what comes up. Curious and tired, tired and loved. Oh, that's good. Connected and grateful. And then if you can, see if you can notice where you feel this in your body. So that's the mind-body connection that's so important in yoga and mindfulness, so that we can make that connection of what's going on up here directly affects here, and what's going on here directly affects here. It all works together. So maybe if you're feeling that joy or connection, you might feel warm and fuzzy in your heart. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you might feel spacey or shaky and jumpy, or a little sweaty, or some pressure. Usually the way that it shows up in our body is not, like I said before, related to some kind of infection or tumor or injury. It's almost always related to our state of mind and where we are, and it shows up in our body. In yoga, we say we carry our issues in our tissues. So if you can find where you feel this in your body, that will help you uncover the way that stress, emotions, feelings affect you. All right, let's just start with some belly breathing. So this is the fastest way to reset the vagus nerve. And that is responsible for helping us get out of fight or flight or a stress response into a relaxation response. So we'll start with just sitting in your chair with your hands on your belly. And if you'd like, you can put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Studies have shown that putting a hand over your heart shows up in the brain just like giving yourself or getting a hug from someone. We all know how important that can feel, and how it is to our mental abilities and wellness. So give yourself a little bit of a hug here with your hand over your heart. And then as you breathe in, you're going to fill up your belly with air. It's just going to expand out, just like you're blowing up a balloon. And then as you exhale, you're going to empty out all of that air all the way out. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Notice where you're carrying any tension in the body. Release any tension in your jaw, your temples, or your forehead, your eyes. And let your shoulders just melt down your back. And release any tension you have in your hips, your legs. Sometimes we just unknowingly are squeezing that all the time. And if you're not sure if you're holding tension somewhere, try squeezing that area and then releasing it and see if it feels better. So this belly breathing oxygenates the brain. Connects the mind to the body. Brings us into the present moment. Helps us be more grounded. And then you can open your eyes and let's do some stretching. So we're just going to do some chair yoga positions to help release any of that tension or stress that may be built up in the body. We're going to start with making circle with, imagine you're drawing a circle with your nose. And then you can add the breath with the movement. So as you inhale, you're looking up, exhaling down. And then reverse directions. If you have tension or pain in an area, don't ignore that area. Instead, kind of lean into it. You may feel like it would feel good to kind of massage that area, work it a little bit. What we tend to do is ignore whatever areas hold tension and feel tight or painful. And all that does is make the problem worse because we're not getting fresh blood and oxygen to that area of the body anymore, and it starts to tighten up even more. So you don't want to make it to where you're hurting more, but you do want to lean into it, stretch it, give it some attention. In physical therapy, they always said, motion is lotion. And so the more you can move it, the better off you're going to be. And then bring your hands all the way up into the air and kind of reach back. Exhale, bring your hands by your side, right by your shoulders. So we're opening up the chest here. Elbows are down, kind of squeezing back towards each other. Fingers are spread out nice and wide. Then look at where your head is. You don't want it jutting out or really in close. You want your ears in line with your shoulders. A couple of breaths here. Let's inhale up and then exhale down. Inhale up. Deep belly breath. Exhale down. And again, inhale up and exhale down. Now take your left hand over right above your right ear and just leading with the elbow. So we're not like pulling your head down. Lead with the elbow and just drop your left ear to your left shoulder. You'll feel this stretch all along here. You can bring the opposite arm out so that you get a little bit more of a stretch. And then return to your breath. So allow your belly to fill up with air. Notice the notice how often you are like holding and restricting your breath. We all do it. Building awareness to that helps us release that pattern. And then go to the other side. So right hand, the top of the left ear. I'm not touching my ear really, I'm right above it. And then leading with the elbow as we pull to stretch all along the side of the neck here. You can bring the arm up. Find the sweet spot for you. Mine is about right here. I really feel that stretch. And then soften the belly and breathe. Unclench the jaw. And then both hands, we're going to clasp our hands behind. And then bring the elbows together. Drop your elbows down, leading with the elbows, and just stretch the back of the neck. Don't forget to soften your belly and breathe. And you'll notice at first, it'll feel pretty tense and tight, and it'll be kind of holding. As you start to breathe, the neck will start to release, release, release until your head is down and you're really stretching all the back of that, releasing the tension. Okay, let's roll the shoulders. So we can add the breath here. And we don't want wimpy rolls here. We want all the way forward, all the way up, all the way back, and all the way down. And then reverse that, bringing him forward. Good. Now we're going to do a little spinal flexion in our chairs. So what you're going to do is you're going to push out your chest. So this would be like a cow pose that we usually do on the floor. And then round for cat. So you can put your hands on the tops of your legs and just push out and round. And then add the breath with the movement here. Inhale. Coming forward. Exhale. Rounding. Exaggerate your movement so that you really feel the stretch throughout the spine. Nice. Come back to center. Extend up through the crown. Push your sit bones down into your chair. You're going to take your right hand back behind you and then twist. So I'm using my left hand on my right leg so I can twist around, and then just shift your left foot forward a little bit so that you can shift around a little bit more. Looking over the right shoulder, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Then soften the belly and breathe. And if you'll notice, the more you extend up through the crown and elongate your spine, the easier it's going to be to twist around. And then we'll go to the other side. Let's begin with rooting. You root to rise. So we root our tailbone, our sit bones. And then we're going to extend up through the crown, drop the shoulders down. Your left hand back behind, right hand over on the outside of the left knee. As I twist, and then shift your right foot forward a little bit so that you can twist a little bit more. Sometimes we have the tendency to kind of lean back into this, but we really want the spine to be as straight as possible. You don't want to kink I call it the water hose, your spine being the water hose. And when we kink it, it cuts off the flow. And then back to center. Just want you to fold over. So you're going to spread your knees wide, and then you're going to fold over and drop your head down towards the floor. Find where it feels good to you. So you may want to kind of scoot to the edge of your chair to do this. Just make sure you're safe and don't like fall out of your chair or something. And just fold down. Let your head hang. Let your lower back release. You might be able to touch the floor. You don't want your bum to come off your chair. You just want to allow the spine to kind of decompress as you reach forward. And then doing this, we're kind of going upside down. It's like a mini inversion. And that also helps to get some fresh oxygen and blood to the brain. And then come back up. Good. Bring your left ankle over your right knee. So this is like the figure 4 stretch. You want your right ankle right under your right knee, and then the left ankle right on top of the right knee. And then you're going to push your left knee away from your body as you hinge forward. So when I say hinge, I mean your spine stays straight. We're not going to round. We're going to keep our spine straight and then hinge forward from there. So you should feel this in the hip, maybe in the piriformis. Breathe and allow yourself to go down a little bit further. And then come back up. We'll go to the other side. So I've got my left knee stacked over my left ankle. Right ankle is on top of my left knee. Right knee is pushed away from the body. And then I'm going to hinge forward here. Everyone's different. Just find the sweet spot for you. Notice with your exhale, that's when you usually can bend forward just a little bit more. Good. And then extend both legs out. Straighten your legs. Hands behind you. I'm just going to open your chest here. You can point and flex your feet a couple of times and roll your ankles around. Good. And then hug one knee into the chest. Then hug the other knee into the chest. And shake out any remaining tension. Return to your breath. Okay, so we should all feel a little bit better already. Now we're going to talk a little bit about posture during meditation. If you're laying on the floor, it's best to sit up just so that you don't fall asleep. If you have back problems or have a hard time sitting up, you can always lay down and then just bend your knees and have your feet flat on the floor so that you're still present. You don't have you're less likely to fall asleep. Or even sitting up against a wall. If you're sitting in your chair, you want to have your feet on the floor if possible. And I always like to take off my shoes so that I can feel grounded and feel connected. Your back is straight like an arrow. Shoulders are away from the ears. Legs can be crossed. We call that, like easy pose or crisscross applesauce. Shoulders are open and relaxed. Chin is tucked in just slightly. And then the eyes closed, or you can just gently kind of gaze in front of you on the ground. And then the tongue is held against the upper palate in a natural way. You don't want it to be like stuck up there, like really tense. That's kind of a stress action there. You want it to just be very gentle and subtle up against the upper palate. And then the lips are slightly apart. And the teeth are unclenched. You want to embody the flow of a river, so your breath just moves in and out with ease, with the stability and the presence and the groundedness of a mountain. we're going to talk a little bit of some background about foundational elements of mindfulness. The first one is letting go. We hear it all the time, right? Let go, just let go, let it be. I prefer the term letting it be rather than letting it go, because sometimes it feels like if you let something go, then it's out of control. But if you let something be, then it just means I'm not interacting with it. Cultivating this attitude of letting go, or we can also call it non-attachment, is fundamental to the practice of mindfulness. When we start paying attention to our inner experience, we see that there are certain thoughts and feelings and situations that the mind seems to want to hold on to. If they're pleasant, we want to hold on to them for a long time, right? We want to stretch it out and relive it over and over and over again. And if they're unpleasant, then we want to push it away. We don't want to think about it. We want to numb it. We want to bury it. We want to forget about it. When we intentionally put aside the tendency to elevate some aspects of our experience and reject others, then we are being attached to those. Instead, we just want to let our experience be what it is. Just let it be and practice observing it from moment to moment. So you will see that this attitude will bring some spaciousness into your life. And one of my favorite examples of this in the recovery community, we always say the serenity prayer, God, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, or accept the things I cannot change, wisdom to know the difference, right? So that is a really simple reminder for us that there are some things that we cannot change, and learning how to let those things be and detach from the outcome is a mindfulness practice. Also, let's talk about gratitude, especially with just finishing with Thanksgiving, which, we take that time out each year to be grateful, but really gratitude is a practice that we should be continuing to bring into our life daily. Studies have shown that people who keep gratitude journals on a weekly basis have been found to exercise more regularly, have fewer physical symptoms, feel better about their lives as a whole, feel more optimistic about their upcoming week as compared to those who keep journals recording the stressors or neutral events of their lives. So I'm not real big into journaling all the events of my life, but I know that my brain likes to pick apart all the stressful events or the things that maybe are just, my to-do list. And that's another way of kind of keeping a mental journal of what is going on, right? But if you can add in there the practice of gratitude and get into a daily thankfulness practice, then you will start to see that even the things that are stressing you out start to feel like they are less, or you find something to be grateful for in the stress. Daily discussion of gratitude results in higher reported levels of alertness, enthusiasm, determination, attentiveness, energy, and better quality sleep. Grateful people also report lower levels of depression and stress, although they don't ignore the negative aspects of life. They just focus more on what they're grateful for. Time and time again, it's found in scientific studies that being grateful and giving thanks has an enormous positive impact on us. It not only increases our mental well-being, it improves our physical health. And there are really easy ways to incorporate these practices into your life. And one of the simplest one is the next time you are faced with something you want to complain about, catch yourself, bring mindfulness in there. So you are present enough to not just let the complaint happen as a pattern, but you can stop that, pause the complaint, and find something to be grateful for instead. Okay, so let's do a gratitude mindfulness practice. You can close your eyes. I am going to stop my video for this just to eliminate any distractions. First thing I want you to do is recall that if you are here joining us in this mindfulness practice, you already have several things to be grateful for, beginning with life itself. the most precious gift. Someone gave birth to you, fed you, changed your diaper, clothed you, bathed you, and taught you to speak and to understand, give you education and teach you. Just breathe into that and have thanks for that. You have the gift of hearing. So you can hear and learn, whether it's the song of a bird, the notes of a band, or the sound of your own breathing flowing in and out of your body. And just bring that gratitude for this gift into your heart. You have the gift of a heartbeat, steady, regular, moment after moment, pumping fresh, life-giving blood to all of your organs. And let's bring attention to all the things that we have today that make our lives easier and more comfortable. We flip a switch and light appears. We turn a tap and clean, drinkable water flows out of it. We adjust a thermostat and the room grows warmer or cooler. We have a roof to keep us dry when it rains, walls to keep out the cold wind, windows to let in the light, screens to keep out insects, a warm bed to sleep in at night. And just bring the gratitude for these things into your heart and feel your heart expand. You may have the gift of a vehicle that can take you where you want to go, or access to a way to get from point A to point B. Machines that wash our clothes, clothes to wear in the first place, a place to put them. We have machines that store our food at just the right temperature and help us cook with it without us having to gather wood. We have indoor plumbing, public libraries, schools, universities, so we can learn and expand our knowledge. Take a moment to reflect on all the thousands of people who have worked hard, some without knowing you at all, to make your life, my life, all of our lives easier. You have the gift of those who teach, who care for us, who protect us, even to those who deliver the mail or the news to us, or dispose of our trash and our waste. People who service our machines and vehicles. Even people who entertain us with sports and music and other art forms. There are countless numbers of people who make our life better. You can spend just a moment picturing some of these people, feeling the gratitude in your heart for them. There's an endless supply of things to be grateful for in our life. And yet many of these things we just take for granted just because it's part of everyday living. But we can be mindful and show our gratitude just with paying attention to all the things that we often take for granted, just showing some gratitude for that instead. And when we can start to do that, it grows that gratitude muscle. This is where our practice of gratitude begins. Noticing all the things in our daily lives that we have to be grateful for. So that when something big comes up or something that is harder to see, we have that practice in place already. And we can find a way to bring gratitude towards it. We're going to go straight into a loving kindness meditation. We're going to start with just taking a deep breath and allow yourself to remember and open up to your basic goodness. Remember times when you've been kind or generous. And if this is difficult, then look at yourself through the eyes of someone who loves you. What does that person love about you? Maybe you recall the unconditional love you felt from a loved one. As you experience this love, notice the feeling in your body. Maybe a feeling of warmth in the face, smile, a sense of expansiveness. Just rest in this feeling of open, unconditional love. Now we're going to wish ourselves well with the words, may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be peaceful, happy, and free from suffering. And we'll extend this to loved ones. Think of the people you love in your life. Picture them in your mind. May they be filled with loving kindness. May they be peaceful, happy, and free from suffering. Now expand this loving kindness to acquaintances, just people that kind of come in and out of your life that you don't really know very well. You can repeat to yourself, may they be filled with loving kindness. May they be peaceful, happy, and free from suffering. Feel your heart getting more expansive and more open. Now even expanding that loving kindness to difficult people. People that you may have a hard time with, that rub you the wrong way, or even people that you have a hard time forgiving or have resentment against. I want you to bring them into your heart, into your mind's eye. You can repeat to yourself, may they be filled with loving kindness. May they be peaceful, happy, and free from suffering. And then we'll extend that to all beings, all living beings, including our furry friends, all animals. May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we be peaceful, happy, and free from suffering. You can put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Feel that loving kindness inside. Feel that connection with others. The gratitude that you have for your life, for the people in it. And just bring your attention and focus back on the breath. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. Back to the present moment. And you can open your eyes. Now, do a little check-in. Once you've practiced meditation, mindfulness, get present and connected to your breath, moved your body and released tension. How do you feel? What's your mood now that you've practiced? You can type in the chat if you want. Sarah's ready for a nap. Calm, good. So notice all that we did, the majority of it we just did with our thoughts, right? It's so powerful what we can do for our body and our mind, just where we focus our attention and intention. So reminders, the more you practice, the better you get. Make it part of your daily routine, get into the habit. I really love the Calm app. Anything from Jon Kabat-Zinn, Headspace, 10% Happier. Yes. Huyen, it is normal to cry when you think of people you're grateful for. Sometimes it's overwhelming, the amount of gratitude that we have in our hearts that we pretty much ignore until we focus on it. So that can be very powerful. And I'm glad that you felt it. Made it without sleeping. Way to go. That's awesome. Excellent. Your brain is getting used to it. So you guys continue to practice over the break. We really need this kind of practice during the holidays. So take care of yourselves when you do that as well, through the holidays. And thank y'all for joining me. I will see y'all in the spring.
Thank you, Marnie. We're going to go ahead and draw for our winner. I'm just going to go ahead and do this on the back end really quickly. I have a little spinny wheel that I'm spinning. So I'm going to draw for 2 winners. 1, 2, 3. Jackie. Is Jackie still on here?
I think so.
Which Jackie do you?
Jackie.
I'm Jackie. Am I the only Jackie?
You're the only Jackie.
All right.
Yay. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw for one more winner. 1 second on my end. Yay, Huyen.
Oh, awesome. That's wonderful.
So Jackie and Huyen.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, y'all. And we look forward to seeing you next semester. Thank you so much, Marnie.
You bet.
Y'all have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye. I'm glad you
Bye.
joined us.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye-bye.